Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette Danello, the host of the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview bakery owners, especially women, to hear how they live fun lives with financial freedom while running their businesses. I want to encourage you to go back and check out the past episodes with Deb Tuggle of Bite Me Cookies in Lakewood, Washington, Patty Stoba of Patty Cakes in Arkansas, and Bronwyn Weber of Bronwyn Cakes in Dallas, Texas. I have here today my friend Shahira Marei, founder and CEO of Dirty Cookie. Shahira started out in the aerospace industry and pivoted to start the most innovative take of a cookie that I've ever seen. With a Dirty Cookie, you can craft the ultimate cookie experience. It's the twist on grandma's classic recipe turned into a little drinkable cup. She has graced the covers of many magazines and was even featured in Shark Tank. She's based in California and is currently expanding the Dirty Cookie brand globally. Today's episode is brought to you by Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, Inc., Celebrity Cake Studio, and Dragonfly Cakes, my family-owned bakery in Tacoma, Washington. At Celebrity Gourmet, we have been making baking joy into all of our artistically designed cakes and desserts for 25 years. We are proud to work with a vibrant team of cake designers and bakers who help you celebrate the sweet moments in your lives. To learn more about how you can celebrate yourselves or the ones you love, visit us at Celebrity Cake Studio and dragonflycakes.com or email me at Odette@Celebrity Gourmet. Before starting our conversation with Shahira, I want to give a big shout out to Entrepreneur Organization, US West, because that's how I met Shahira. We were at Alchemy in Portland together. Correct, Shahira?
Yep, 2019.
And how did we meet? Go ahead.
Someone told me that you have a cake company, and I think I just came and introduced myself as we were walking and we started talking.
Yeah, we
were going to an event.
Yeah. And that's how friendly the bakery business is. You just seek out your peers and you chat and then you become friends. And thus this podcast was born. So Shahir, tell our listeners your story. How did you start out with this amazing bakery concept, this product concept?
Yeah. So almost 8.5 years ago. So before Dirty Cookie, I used to work for Boeing for about 7 years. And then when I found out I was pregnant, that was kind of the pivotal moment in my life where I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready to have a kid right now. I'm still doing my master's. I still didn't start my business. Since when I was really young, I've always wanted to have a business. But I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And then I think what I realized in hindsight is that my daughter's birth was catalyst that got me started into the business, because I didn't want her to be an excuse of not why I didn't start my business. So as soon as she was born, I signed a 5-year lease to a storefront in Orange County. She was 5 months old. And that's how I didn't really know what I was going to do or what I was going to put in that store. And it was kind of random, but I don't believe anything is random. So I met the landlord of this mall, and she had one store left, and she was like, do you want it? I was like, yes. She's like, what are you going to put in here? I was like, what do you need? And she was like, we can use another dessert concept. I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm a sugar addict. I love dessert. I can come up with something, fun, unique, and innovative. And she's like, here, just sign the lease, give me a security deposit, and let me know what you come up with. I'm like, okay. So
oh my gosh.
Took me yeah. So I did that, and I kind of panicked after signing the lease. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to put in here? And I remember just asking myself, I was like, what is your favorite dessert? What is your favorite dessert? And I'm like, oh my God, I love milk and cookies, but how do we innovate that? And so I spent 2 days on Pinterest, and I found this lady molding cookie dough on a cereal bowl and like putting chocolate inside and then putting cereal inside. And I'm like, oh my God, I can do this, but like in a cup form because I love, dipping my cookies in milk. What if we just, drank the milk out of the cookie? And I couldn't find anything on the market to make it. There was no molds, there was nothing I could use. And so I called my aerospace engineer best friend, Alex. I was like, Alex, is there any way we can make like a mold for this cookie cup that I want to create? And he was like, of course, I'm an aerospace engineer. I can make anything, typical
Wow.
response. I'm like, okay, great. Let's sit down and work on this. And we did, and it ended up being a shot glass, just due to like engineering purposes. It would bake faster and it wouldn't like, it wasn't, it needed to be a little thinner than a cup. So we ended up with these cookie shot glass molds. We made them and I ended up getting a patent on them. And then I realized I don't know how to bake. So I started like researching. I'm like, who do I know who's an amazing baker? My friend from junior high and high school, Elizabeth. I called her up. Actually, I checked her out on Facebook. It's been like 10 years I haven't talked to her. I'm like, what is she doing now? She had started her own cake business and she was a pastry chef from CIA in New York. I'm like, hey, Elizabeth, long time. Can we meet up for lunch or coffee? And I go to her. I was like, listen, I signed this 5-year lease to store. I'm going to make these cookie shot glasses. I got these molds. Can you help me make the recipes? I was like, of course. So yeah, we started the process and me and her were just like working from home, her house, making these cookie shots, like failed miserably. They looked terrible every time we'd make them and they were like rock solid. And it took us forever, like 6 months at least to figure out a decent recipe that was soft and chewy. And yeah, so she taught me the ins and outs of baking, which was amazing. I had no idea it was so scientific. Like, oh my gosh, couldn't believe that much science was involved in it. Um, so yeah, then I learned to bake. And then we opened the store and we kind of like started taking off. We got a lot of celebrities, I started gifting a lot of celebrities and stuff in Los Angeles and they started posting about us and it was amazing. It was, yeah, that's kind of how I got
And what
the
year
story
was
going.
that?
2015. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're like the atypical entrepreneur. Well, actually, maybe
Yeah.
the typical entrepreneur. You took a leap before you looked.
Yeah. I work really well that
Incredible.
way. I don't know why. I work well under pressure. So you just throw me in the fire and I'll figure it out. Uh, yeah, something like that.
So how did you like get all the stars to love your product?
Well, nobody had seen a cookie shop before. So it was pretty easy. Like when I would message them on Instagram, they would just say, yes, we'd love to try them. And then when they'd receive the box, they get so excited, they'd be like posting about it. So that was really nice. We did do like Kim Kardashian's birthday last year. And we put her face because we print edible images on them. So we put like all her face on them and she like posted it on stories and stuff. So it was really nice. We do. So yeah, they just were very open because it was so unique that they actually wanted to share that they got this cool product, right? And I was doing a lot of catering on site for like all the Shonda Rhimes productions, like Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal. So I
Love
did
Shonda
that like multiple. Yeah, yeah, she's my favorite, and she was a big fan of our cookie shots and stuff, and all her the cast. It was amazing. So slowly we started getting our name out there and it was really awesome and then we ended up I did the storefront model for 3 years and then I knew the location that I had chosen wasn't a good location because I kind of just like rushed into it without really looking at the mall and so I was going to open in Los Angeles and as I was transitioning closing that store going to LA, COVID ended up hitting.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was really lucky and blessed actually that I didn't sign a new lease in Los Angeles right before COVID. And we went online. I actually had to let my entire team go because we were doing a lot of catering during that time and we lost all our catering business like overnight. And we had started wholesaling to hotels and restaurants, the cookie shots. Also lost that overnight. So I laid off my
And this is in
15 staff.
2020.
Yeah, 2020, I laid off my entire staff of about 15 people. And my partner, Nadia, she runs the operations. She's my CEO. I like just sat with her and I was like, listen, we gotta come up with something. We just need some time. And I was meditating and I got this image of like someone decorating the cookie shots. So I called her up. I was like, hey, I think we can launch like a DIY kit. And this was really early on, like I think it was like March 15th when I came up with this idea. So we had just like let everybody go on the 13th or something like that. And a couple of days later, I got the idea and then I sat on it for a little bit. And then I went to like Walmart, bought some sprinkles and chocolate and melting chocolate and these edible characters for Easter. It was right around, I was like, Easter is a few weeks away. Let's just take a picture, Nadia, with our phone and see what happens. And we put it on the website and like we ran some ads behind it and it took off like crazy. We sold like 400 boxes of these DIY kits that didn't even exist. Like it was something I totally just made up in a minute. And I'm like, oh, I guess I have to make these DIY kits. So it was just me and Nadia literally working alone doing these DIY kits and taking all the orders and baking and doing everything. I was too scared to bring my staff back. We did that for 2 months. Like even my daughter didn't have school, so I'd bring her to like put stickers on the boxes and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, and then that was my sign. After 2 months, I'm like, okay, we're getting busier and busier. I think I could bring my staff back. And then we ended up going on the Today Show as like they highlighted our business that a pivotal, like a company that's, pivoting during COVID. And we ended up on Good Morning America. So 2020 ended up being our best year in our company history, actually online. And it was amazing. So yeah, and then we've been online since then, and it's a little bit more challenging now than it used to be in COVID because like cost of ads have gone up and stuff like that. It's become super competitive online. So now I'm focused more on like food service and getting my product into like hotels, restaurants, and a theme park, and that's
Yeah,
really looking really good.
yeah. I was texting you. I saw your staff at the shows that I was in, the food service
Yeah.
shows that I was in. So yeah, I love the cookies that you also have now, stuffed cookies.
Yes. We
Those
launched
are
those a couple of years ago again. Yeah.
and you have an amazing team. So
Thank
I
you.
wanted to go back. So you signed a 5-year lease and then you left at 3. What was the impact of that? Was your landlord pretty amazing?
No, I was very lucky. When I was transitioning and I was looking at another location, a friend that I had met actually in a class that I was taking had a juice place in another area, and I told him like I wanna give up my lease, and he was like, yeah, I'll take it. So he ended up taking my lease
Oh,
actually, and
that's
that's why, yeah,
oh my
yeah. So
gosh.
I got very lucky. I believe when things are meant to work out a certain way, there's like nothing that can stop it, from happening. So I knew I had to leave that store, and then just God sent me the right person to take over my lease, and it just keeps things work out, when you're on the right path. That's what I feel like.
I agree. Where did you move the production to when you closed that facility?
Well, we were always out making it offsite because my store was really small. So we were always making an offsite kitchen for years. But last year we ended up moving to like Las Vegas to a co-packer for the first time in company history for us to move, outsource our production. And then we just moved again a couple months ago to Arizona. Things didn't work out with that first co-packer, but this second co-packer looks pretty good. So we're in Arizona right now, production.
Can you tell our listeners what a co-packer is?
Yes, that's like a manufacturer for your product. So if you don't want to do it yourself, you can find a manufacturer to do it for you. It is a little bit more expensive, but if you have to find the right one too, because I definitely learned a really big lesson with the first one was not the best fit. Um, Ended up costing us double what we were paying originally to make them in house, and just not the best partnership. So yeah, you have to. It's like a marriage. You got to find the right one that fits.
Yeah, what does that mean though? What does that mean when it's double the expense? Like, is it double the rent or is it per cookie? Is it because of the minimums are high? What is it?
Minimums are high, and just the first co-packer was not the best or efficient person or company to really make our product. I mean, if they don't have like experience and lines and stuff, it was costing him a lot to make some, like it was costing him more to make what we were making in-house. And it was just because he was so not efficient, and the way that he laid out the production facility wasn't efficient. So there's a lot of things that he could have done better that he just ignored because he didn't have time for it.
Right.
Because he had so many other businesses that he was also manufacturing for. So that's also another thing. Like we were the small, fish for him. So he didn't give us a lot of attention, which ended up costing us more, and it wasn't really cool. So yeah, definitely learned a lot from that. So when I went over to the next one, it was like everything was laid up upfront, fixed costs, no matter what. And yeah, it's definitely a lot better now.
That's great. That's amazing. So, I know that when you were pivoting, you told me that when you were pivoting in 2020, you had this opportunity for your marketing strategy was pretty incredible,
Yeah,
right? That
it
was able to
was.
scale the business. Can you tell us more about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. In 2020, well, what happened with Facebook and Instagram is there was an iOS update, the iOS 14, which basically they can't track people anymore like they used to. Everybody is able to opt out. So that negatively
No more
impacted.
cookies. There's no more cookies
Yeah.
for the cookies. That's ironic.
Yes, exactly. That really messed with all small businesses online because now I was able to serve. I would know that Odette was, watching the Food Network. I could know that. I knew you were visiting what Food Network websites, so I could target you with my product if I was looking for someone whose audience was watching Food Network. Now I have no idea. No idea how to target people anymore online because they've taken away all those options. Like I can't. So when it was very specific, like I could say, give it to these women who are watching the Food Network at this time of day. Like things were very, very specific. Now the, Facebook is serving it to everybody, and that's just quadrupling our costs because it's not the right audience. We have random people watching it that it's not the right fit. So it's just gotten so difficult the last couple of years since the iOS update. Difficult, more expensive, and but we didn't have that issue in 2020. In 2020, you would just we would say like we'd put in 1x and we were like 7xing it very easily because we knew exactly who we were going after, and it was amazing. And I think we've lost that forever online. I don't think it's ever going to come back. I think now people just need to become more creative, find ideas outside of the box to really be able to succeed online again at a very cost effective way. Like big companies can afford to throw money like crazy at ads right now and, not be that profitable. It's the smaller ones that are going to struggle or
Right.
have been struggling.
Wow. We don't do Facebook ads, so I didn't know. I mean, I knew about the iOS app update, but I didn't really have impact because we never used ads. We just kind of,
You're lucky.
winged it. But
Very lucky.
you went on Shark Tank though.
Yes.
So tell us
Yeah.
about that. That was
Yeah,
really cool.
Shark Tank. I've been applying to Shark Tank since 2017. I was a finalist in 2017, but it didn't work out, which was a blessing actually, because we didn't know anything about e-commerce at that time. And if we'd have aired, it would have been disastrous. So even though I was pretty upset about it in 2017, in hindsight, there's a lot that happens in hindsight. You're like, oh, shoot, I should have. That was actually a blessing.
Yep.
And I shouldn't have been so upset about it. But yeah, it wasn't until 2021 where I finally got in and I pitched, and it was August or June 2021. And then they didn't air it till April 2022. So I'm just waiting because they do overshoot. So you never know even if you pitch and they shoot you, like there's 30 companies that get cut every single time, every season, because they overshoot by 30 companies just in case something happens.
You mean
So I'm just,
going to the stage? I don't know much about Shark Tank. So tell me, like, what's the application like? Did you like overshoot, meaning the whole stage bit? That's like 30 extra people to do that?
yeah, they shoot 30 extra companies just in case. Yeah, and then those 30 don't, like, there's a chance that so you never know, even if you do pitch to the Sharks, your episode may not get aired.
Oh,
So I was sitting there in anxiety for like at least like 6, 7, 8 months, just waiting for my, oh yeah, 6, 7 months. I was like, is it gonna air? Is it gonna air? And then finally I got the email saying it was gonna air on April 8th, 2022. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like we needed the, publicity, and because the ads were just not working anymore. I'm like, how do we reach people? So this was a fantastic opportunity. It was life changing for me. Shark Tank really did change the course of our business, um, in so many ways. And what else happened? The process was intense. You have to long application, like 30 pages, and then you submit a video, and then you pitch in front of producers. And then after you pass like the pitching of the producers, which are about 30 people, you then you get a pitch date, like to come into the studios. So uh there's a
did
lot
you
of
get
back and forth
investors? Did you get investors?
on the show. Yeah, I got Robert Herjavec, and then so yeah, that was good. He was really excited. I had Lori and Robert kind of like fight over it, but it was it was good. It was really good.
That's awesome. Well, if anybody wants to know, you could look it up. Look up the episode on YouTube, correct? Is it on YouTube, the Shark Tank?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah,
And
I
then
just
you'll
put
see
Dirty
what happened.
Cookie Shark Tank. Yeah.
So now, I wanted to also talk about like your planning, like what are your plans for the future?
Definitely scaling Dirty Cookie, more volume for sure, like with the, wholesale industry. I think there's a lot of opportunity for other people to use our products. Theme parks. We just got into Disney in California. We got into SeaWorld in Orlando. So I'm very excited about that. We're working on Canadian partnerships right now, so that's going to be super fun. And I do have, a couple stores in Egypt where my family's originally from. Just opened that 2 years ago. So, and it's doing really well out there. So we're looking at bringing back Dirty Cookie as a franchising model, across the whole country, because it's doing really well as a storefront, which includes like cookies, coffee, and ice cream. So it's a full stop dessert shop concept.
Oh my gosh. And what part of Egypt?
It's in Cairo.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So then who's running it?
So I split my time between Egypt and the US, and I have an amazing team down there. I'm really good about, picking my team members. So they are, and everything now is managed virtually for the most part, like here and there. So it's great. Like I can manage them both, and I have amazing teams on both sides that really help. So yeah,
That's a superpower, picking your teams,
a hundred
choosing
percent. Yeah.
choosing your teams is all of it, it's all of it. That's so what are your tips to pick a good team?
So I always look for people's motivation of like why they want to work or why they want to do this. I found that people who aren't like motivated by money are my best workers, because they are trying to prove something to themselves or to somebody else. And yeah, so they work really well. Like, because and they need to have flexibility. So people who are used to wearing multiple hats is also a really good sign, or they are flexible, because as a startup, or I mean, I still consider us a startup after almost 9 years, but everybody has to wear multiple hats, and those people that can manage that really well usually are the ones that can handle anything.
So how many people are in your teams, like each? Is it like do you because
Well,
you
in Egypt, because it's a storefront, obviously there's like, I hire a lot of part-time students. So I have like 15 of them, and then I have chefs. And so I think the total are 25 people in Egypt for the stores. And then here in the US, I mean, our core team is 5, but we outsource as like agencies. We have like freelancers that do everything for us. So like just 5 people on payroll, but like the rest is all like freelancers and agencies.
Right. Because you're now being co-packed, which is a completely different thing, right? It moves.
Correct. Yeah. Back in the day, we had all like 15 bakers on payroll, which was a
Right.
lot.
Which one do you prefer, like making it in-house or having it co-packed thus far?
Very tricky question. Nadia would not agree with me on this. I prefer making it in-house. I like the control. I'm a
Yeah.
control freak. I like to be able to, when I say, hey, we're going to try something new today, nobody tells me no. It's not in the
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
With a
Yeah.
co-packer, it's like, no, we're not going to be able to do that. We have production line schedules. I'm like, no, but I need to make this now because I have this opportunity coming
Right.
up. So I'm not going to wait. So I definitely prefer having it in-house. Um, and plus, I didn't see the cost savings by going to a co-packer. If anything, I saw our costs increase because of it. So I just don't know. I think if you have an amazing like production manager, you're it's the same thing as managing a co-packer. And
Yeah.
it's like if you have an amazing production manager, and I think that's what we struggled with, and I think that's why maybe my partner Nadia likes the idea of a co-packer more, is because I we didn't have a good production manager. We never did. So she was always getting involved on the day-to-day stuff, which kind of burned her out a lot. But now
Yeah.
like having a good production manager with this co-packer makes her life so much easier. And I'm like, well, we can build that ourselves. Like we can have our own facility in-house, get an amazing production manager, and that could be the same contact amount of contact you have right now with the co-packer. So I really, again, comes down to not having the right people on the team.
Right.
Um, yeah.
So I wanted to pivot the conversation. Like, what is your grounding factor to like juggle all this? Stores
I
and
think,
and
well, now I meditate for about an hour and a half every day.
it's awesome.
I
Yes.
I started meditating 5 years ago, thanks to Kalika from EO
Yes.
Entrepreneurs Organization. She got me into meditation 5 years ago, and I started with 5 minutes a day, and now I can go up to like 8 hours a day if I really wanted to. But I found my sweet spot's about an hour and a half. Um, so I do that every day, and it really helps me stay grounded and calm and not panic as much as I used to.
Yes. I love that. I wanted to bring that about because I know that's a commonality between us. I am an avid meditator, been practicing for 30 years, and it's been the one key thing that keeps me, solid in my brain when I'm about to lose my top. It's a lot.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And for me too, like I pray a lot, so I'm always very like grounded and faithful. Like when things are always going wrong, because like things always go wrong in business. Like for me, and I don't think ever goes according to plan for me. And but it's just tested my faith over and over again. And I'm like, trust the process, trust God, everything's working out, like everything's gonna be okay. So definitely prayer and meditation have played a huge, huge role in my life. Sure.
Yeah, reading a book right now, and I'll want to ask you what book you're reading. It's called Living the Life of Surrender. It's by Michael Singer, and he wrote The Untethered Soul. Have you read that?
I haven't yet. I've heard of them. I just haven't. My reading list is really long. I'm trying to get through it. It's
What are
really
you
long.
reading right now?
What am I reading right now? Oh, it's gonna sound so stupid, actually, because it's not my typical book that I would read. But it's Chicken Soup for the Soul. I haven't read that in
Oh
a
my
really
God.
long time. Yeah, but I haven't read that in a really long time, like 20 years, and I just picked it up and I was reading it again. I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's been a while.
I
But
love.
no, yeah.
Well, I used to be a seventh grade teacher, and Chicken Soup for the Soul was like all the series. I would read a Chicken Soup for the Soul stories to my kids every single day, like one story a day, and they looked forward to it because that had just come out. It was in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's really old, but I just there's something about it that just made me pick it up and I'm like, I'm gonna read this. I was on a plane the other day, so I'm like, this is a great book, for the plane, just easy,
Yes.
not not too deep, and just it was nice. So that's what I'm finishing up right now.
And you have, how old is your daughter now?
She's 9. So business is 8.5 and she's 9.
Oh my gosh. And how do you manage, does she help with the business, or is
She used to. Now that she's 9, I mean, she wants to work. I just don't let her. It's because everything's like virtual now and production's everywhere. It's not the same where it was in-house. She would come with me to the kitchen. She'd put stickers on the bags. Yeah, she loves working. She's been working since she was like 2 years old. But now it's a little bit different for sure. But and she keeps telling me, Mom, teach me how to do emails. I'll answer all your emails, because she sees me, all I'm doing now is like emails. She's like, what if I start doing your emails for you? I'm like, I really want to. He's just 9 years old. So give it a few more years, baby.
It'll be full of emojis.
I know, right? Sending it to our clients at Disney emoji.
That's awesome. Well, I would love to see you and, chat in person. I know you're like across the country. You're in Georgia.
I know.
So yeah, one day we'll meet up at another event and we'll chit chat more. But Definitely. I do have one last question as we wrap up. So if you were to talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
Wow. Like when I was starting the business?
Anytime.
I would probably tell myself not to be so hard on myself, because I think I've always been super critical of myself, and it's never good enough. No matter how far I get, it's always like, no, you need to go further. So recently I kind of slowed down, like kind of that beating on myself, because I was just like nonstop. It's just never enough. And I'm like, no, I have to take a step and realize I've come really far. Even though it feels like I'm so far away from my goal. But I was like, I've done amazing things. I'm okay. I'm good. Like, and that was never a conversation I used to have with myself before. It was always like, why are you so slow? Look, everybody else is ahead of you. You're so like, why aren't you making as much money as everybody else? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I would be very, very hard on myself. Even when I was young in school too, I was like, well, why aren't you 4.0? You need to be 4.0. So I was always like pressuring myself and studying my butt off to get to 4.0, which eventually I did. But it was, I was just so hard on myself all the time. And I think it was just unnecessary pressure for no reason. I'm like, why did I do that to myself? Because it takes a toll on your body. Like I get physical pain in my shoulders and my neck and my back because of how much stress and pressure I put on myself. I was just like, not worth it.
Not worth it. Yeah. Not worth it. And we just have to be careful too of like what voice we've adopted in our heads, because a lot of it's not our voices. It's, other people's voices that somehow get lodged in, and it just keeps repeating on cycle.
Correct.
Well, thank you so much, Shahira, for such an enlightening conversation. And I can't wait to see you and give you a big hug and eat some cookies. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the Celebrity Gourmet podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.